My name is Natalie Brooks, and I am 25 years old. 3 weeks ago, my 23-year-old brother Ethan called me to his apartment for what he described as an important conversation about the wedding. I thought he wanted help with last-minute planning, or maybe needed advice about marriage jitters. Instead, he sat me down at his kitchen table and told me I was no longer invited to his wedding because his fiancée Madison had decided it would be for close family only. I am his sister, his only sister. We grew up in the same house, shared the same parents, and until 18 months ago when he started dating Madison, I was the person he called when he needed advice, comfort, or just someone to listen. But apparently, I am not close family. Meanwhile, Madison's sorority sisters from college, her parents' country club friends, and her stepfather's business associates are all still invited to this intimate celebration of close family bonds. Ethan and I have always been close. When he was 12 and I was 14, our father left our family for his secretary and moved to California. Mom worked double shifts as a nurse to keep us afloat financially, which meant I became Ethan's de facto second parent. I helped him with homework, drove him to soccer practice when I got my license, and stayed up with him when he had nightmares about Dad never coming back. When Ethan started high school, I was there for every milestone. His first girlfriend, his first heartbreak, his anxiety about college applications. When he got into Arizona State University on a partial academic scholarship, I was more proud than our actual parents. When he struggled his freshman year and wanted to drop out, I drove to Tempe every weekend to help him figure out his classes and encourage him to stick with it. We were best friends who happened to be siblings. We texted every day, called each other when we had news, and genuinely enjoyed spending time together. Ethan was funny, thoughtful, and fiercely loyal to the people he cared about. That loyalty and eagerness to please turned out to be exactly what made him vulnerable to someone like Madison. Ethan met Madison during his junior year at ASU. She was a business major from Scottsdale, whose father owned a chain of luxury car dealerships, and whose mother was on the board of several prominent charities. Madison was beautiful, confident, and used to getting what she wanted from men who were eager to impress her. From the beginning, I could tell that Madison was not particularly interested in getting to know Ethan's family. When he brought her home for dinner the first time, she spent the evening checking her phone and making polite but distant conversation. "Your family is so authentic," she told Ethan as they were leaving that night. Like authenticity was a quaint characteristic she found mildly entertaining, but Ethan was smitten. Madison was everything he thought he wanted. Sophisticated, well-connected, from a world of country clubs and charity galas that seemed impossibly glamorous to a kid who had grown up sharing a bedroom with his sister in a 3-bedroom ranch house. Over the next year, I watched Ethan gradually transform himself into the person he thought Madison wanted him to be. He started using phrases like summer house and family friends to describe things that did not exist in his life. He bought clothes he could not afford to fit in with Madison's social circle. He began distancing himself from his college friends who did not meet Madison's standards of sophistication. Most painfully, he started distancing himself from me. It began subtly. Phone calls became less frequent. When I texted him, his responses were shorter and took longer to arrive. When I suggested getting dinner or seeing a movie like we used to, he was always busy with Madison's social calendar. "You would not be interested," he would say when I asked about the events they were attending. "It is just boring charity stuff." But I knew it was not about the events being boring. It was about me not fitting into the image he was trying to project as Madison's boyfriend. The first time Madison openly excluded me was at Ethan's graduation party. I had helped Mom plan the celebration, made his favorite cake, and invited his friends from high school and college. Madison showed up with her parents and immediately began rearranging the party to suit her vision. "We should have champagne instead of beer," she told my mother, "and maybe some more sophisticated appetizers." When it came time for photos, Madison orchestrated group shots that somehow never included me. She had Ethan pose with her parents, with her sorority sisters, with Mom and Ethan together. But whenever I tried to join a photo, Madison would suggest a different grouping. "Let's get one with just the graduates," she said when I approached. "You understand." I understood that I was being systematically excluded from my own brother's celebration. After graduation, Ethan and Madison moved into an apartment together in a trendy part of Phoenix. They started hosting dinner parties for Madison's friends and work contacts, sophisticated gatherings where people discussed wine and travel. Ethan never invited me to these events. Not really your scene, became Ethan's standard explanation for why I was never included in his new life. The engagement happened 6 months ago. Madison posted the announcement on Instagram before Ethan called to tell me the news. I found out my brother was getting married by seeing a photo of Madison's ring on social media. When Ethan finally called me that evening, he was so excited that he did not seem to notice how hurt I was about learning the news secondhand. "I wanted to surprise everyone," he said. "Madison has this whole vision for how she wants to announce everything." Madison's vision. Everything in Ethan's life had become about Madison's vision, her preferences, her idea of how things should be done. But I was not part of the wedding planning. Madison selected her bridesmaids from her sorority sisters and work friends. She chose a venue that her family belonged to and vendors she had connections with. She planned an engagement party that I learned about from Mom, who had received a formal invitation in the mail like a distant relative. Every time I tried to offer help, Madison had already handled whatever needed to be done through her own network. My offers to help were politely declined with explanations that everything was already organized. "Madison is really detail-oriented," Ethan explained when I expressed frustration. "She has specific ideas about how she wants everything to look." 3 weeks ago, Ethan asked me to come over for that important conversation. I arrived expecting to discuss bachelor party plans. Instead, I found Ethan sitting at his kitchen table with a notebook full of wedding details and an expression that suggested he was about to deliver bad news. "Nat, I need to talk to you about the wedding," he said. "Sure. What do you need help with?" "Actually, it is not about help. It is about changes to the guest list." "Changes?" "Madison and I have been talking, and we have decided to scale back the wedding significantly. We want to keep it really intimate, just close family and a few essential friends." "Okay, that sounds nice." "Right, more personal. So we have had to make some difficult decisions about who to include." I felt cold dread settling in my stomach. "What kind of decisions?" "Well, we are cutting the guest list down to about 40 people total. Immediate family, Madison's parents and grandparents, a few college friends who are in the wedding party. That sounds reasonable. The thing is, Nat, with such a small guest list, we have had to be really selective." "Ethan, what are you trying to tell me?" He looked down at his notebook, avoiding eye contact. "Madison feels really strongly about keeping the wedding intimate. She wants it to be just the people who are closest to us, the people who have been most involved in our relationship. Ethan, and she pointed out that you have not really been part of our relationship journey. You have been busy with work, and we have not spent as much time together lately, so it would be kind of artificial to have you there." The words hit me like a physical blow. Not part of their relationship journey. As if 18 months of being systematically excluded was evidence that I had chosen to distance myself. "Are you uninviting me from your wedding?" "I am not uninviting you. We are just being more selective about the guest list." "Ethan, I am your sister. I know you are my sister. But Madison thinks it would be weird to have you there when you do not really know her very well. I do not know her very well because she has never made any effort to get to know me. That is not fair, Nat. Madison has tried to include you." When has Madison tried to include me in anything?" "She invited you to her engagement party. She mailed me a formal invitation like I was a distant acquaintance. She did not have to invite you at all." "Ethan, do you hear yourself right now? You are defending your fiancé for doing the bare minimum of acknowledging that you have a sister. Madison is not obligated to be best friends with my family. She is not obligated to be best friends with me. But if she is marrying my brother, she should make some effort to have a relationship with the people who love him. She does have a relationship with Mom and Dad. She has a polite, surface-level relationship because they are easier for her to manage than I am." "What does that mean?" "It means Mom and Dad are impressed by her family's money and status. They do not ask difficult questions or expect genuine connection." "And you do?" "I expect the woman my brother marries to care about the people who have been important to him his whole life." "Madison does care about me. Madison cares about the version of you that she has created, the version that fits into her social circle. You do not know Madison." "You are right. I do not know Madison. Because every time I have tried to get to know her, she has made it clear that is not a priority. Maybe because you have made it clear that you do not approve of her." "When have I made that clear? You have never said you like her. When have you asked if I like her? When have you cared whether I like her?" "I care." "Do you?" "Because it seems like you care more about whether she likes me. And since she has decided she does not, you have decided that our relationship is expendable." That is not what is happening here. Is it not? Because you are telling me that I cannot come to your wedding because your fiancé has decided I am not close enough family. It is not about you not being close family. It is about keeping the wedding small and intimate. Who else is being uninvited for intimacy reasons? Ethan looked uncomfortable. It is complicated. How is it complicated? Some people are harder to exclude than others. What people? Madison's parents obviously have to be there, and her grandparents are flying in from New York, and her sorority sisters are in the wedding party. So Madison's sorority sisters are closer family than your actual sister? They are in the wedding party. That is different. How is it different? They have specific roles in the ceremony. And I could not have a specific role? Madison already chose her bridesmaids. From people she has known for 5 years instead of the person who has known you for 23 years. Natalie, you are making this more complicated than it needs to be. I am making this exactly as complicated as it is. You are choosing your fiancé's college friends over your own sister. I am not choosing anyone over anyone. I am trying to balance everyone's needs. Whose needs? Madison's. And mine. What are your needs, Ethan? I need Madison to be happy with our wedding. And you do not need your sister to be there? I would like you to be there, but I need Madison to be comfortable. And Madison is not comfortable with me being there. Madison thinks it would be awkward because you two do not really know each other. Whose fault is that? It is not anyone's fault. You just move in different circles. Ethan, I am a nurse. I work with people from all different backgrounds. I am perfectly capable of moving in whatever circle Madison moves in. It is not about capability. What is it about? It is about fit. Madison has a specific vision for her wedding, and she wants everyone there to fit that vision. And I do not fit that vision. You fit differently than some other people. How do I fit differently? Ethan was quiet for a long moment. Madison's family and friends they are used to a certain type of event. They have expectations about how things should look and feel. And how should things look and feel? Sophisticated, elegant, put together. And you think I am not sophisticated, elegant, or put together? I think you are all of those things. But Madison thinks you might not be comfortable at the type of wedding she is planning. What type of wedding? It is going to be really formal, black tie, at her family's country club, very traditional and elegant. And you think I cannot handle formal and elegant? I think Madison thinks you might feel out of place. So she is excluding me for my own benefit? She is trying to avoid making you uncomfortable, by making me devastated instead. Natalie, please try to understand. This is Madison's day. She has dreamed about her wedding since she was a little girl. What about your day? Do not you have any say in who comes to your own wedding? Of course I have a say, and I support Madison's decision to keep things intimate. Do you? Or are you just afraid to disagree with her? I am not afraid to disagree with Madison. When was the last time you disagreed with Madison about anything important? Ethan thought for a moment, then looked uncomfortable when he could not come up with an answer. We usually agree about important things. Or you have learned to agree with her about important things. That is not fair, is it not? Because the Ethan I grew up with would never exclude his sister from his wedding to make his fiancée more comfortable. People change, Natalie. You are right. People do change. And you have changed into someone I do not recognize. I have grown up. You have become someone who prioritizes social status over family relationships. That is not what I am doing. Then what are you doing? I am trying to build a life with the woman I love. And that life does not include me. It does include you. Just not at the wedding. Ethan, do you understand what you are saying to me right now? I am saying that the wedding is one day, and our relationship is forever. Our relationship is forever, but I am not important enough to be there on the most important day of your life. You are important to me, but not important enough. Natalie, please do not make this harder than it already is. How hard is it for you, exactly? It is hard because I love you, and I want you to understand. I understand perfectly. I understand that Madison decided I do not fit the image she wants for her wedding, and you agreed with her. It is not about image. What is it about? It is about compatibility. Madison and her family have a certain way of doing things, and she wants everyone at the wedding to share that style. And my style is incompatible with her style. Your style is different from her style, and different is not welcome. Different is just harder to blend. Ethan, listen to what you are saying. You are telling me that I cannot come to your wedding because I do not blend well with your fiancé's social circle. I am telling you that Madison wants the wedding to feel cohesive, and I threaten that cohesion. You make the situation more complicated. How do I make the situation complicated? Because Madison feels like she has to impress you, and that makes her nervous. Why does she feel like she has to impress me? Because you are important to me, but not important enough to invite to your wedding. Natalie, you are twisting everything I am saying. I am not twisting anything. I am trying to understand how the person who used to call me his best friend can now tell me I am not close enough family to attend his wedding. You are close family. You are my sister. But Madison thinks. I do not care what Madison thinks anymore, Ethan. I care what you think. Do you want me at your wedding or not? Ethan looked at me for a long moment, and I could see the conflict in his expression. For just a second, I thought he might choose me over Madison's vision of perfection. Then he looked away. I want you to understand that this is what is best for everyone. That is not what I asked. I asked if you want me at your wedding. I want everyone to be happy. That is still not what I asked. Natalie, please. Do you want me at your wedding, yes or no? I want what is best for my marriage. And there it was. The answer I had been afraid to hear, but needed to understand. Madison had made it clear that having me at the wedding was not what was best for their marriage. And Ethan had chosen her comfort over my inclusion. I see. Natalie, this does not change anything between us. It changes everything between us. I stood up from the kitchen table, suddenly exhausted by the conversation, and everything it revealed about how much my relationship with my brother had already changed. I should go. Natalie, please do not leave angry. I am not angry, Ethan. I am heartbroken. It does not have to be heartbreaking. My brother just told me I am not close enough family to attend his wedding. How is that not heartbreaking? I walked toward the door, looking back at my brother one last time. Ethan, when you walk down that aisle in 3 weeks, you are not just marrying Madison. You are choosing the kind of person you want to be, the kind of brother you want to be. What does that mean? It means that after 18 months of watching you prioritize Madison's approval over our relationship, this is not a surprise. This is just the inevitable conclusion. I left his apartment understanding that my little brother, the person I had helped raise and loved unconditionally, had chosen a woman's social preferences over his sister's place in his life. And that was a choice I would never forget. 3 weeks later, on the day of Ethan's wedding, I worked a double shift at Phoenix Children's Hospital. I had volunteered to cover for a colleague who wanted the Saturday off, partly because I needed the distraction, and partly because helping sick children felt like a better use of my time than sitting at home thinking about the wedding I was not invited to attend. Around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, while I was checking on a 7-year-old recovering from appendix surgery, my phone started buzzing with notifications. Instagram posts from the wedding were beginning to appear, tagged with Connor, Ethan, and Madison Forever, and location tagged at Scottsdale Country Club. I turned off my phone and focused on my patients, but I could not stop thinking about what was happening 40 minutes away. My brother was getting married, and I was learning about it through social media like a distant acquaintance. That evening, after my shift ended, I drove home to my apartment and allowed myself to look at the wedding photos that had been posted throughout the day. Madison looked stunning in her designer gown. Ethan looked handsome in his black tuxedo, and the venue was decorated with white roses and gold accents that probably cost more than I made in 3 months. The photos told the story of a perfect wedding. Madison's sorority sisters in matching pale pink bridesmaids' dresses, her grandparents from New York looking elegant and distinguished, her father walking her down an aisle lined with flowers, Ethan waiting at the altar with his college roommate as best man. There were photos of the reception, a band playing on a stage decorated with twinkling lights, guests dancing under a tent draped in white fabric, tables set with crystal glasses and gold chargers, Madison's business school friends toasting the happy couple, her parents' country club friends smiling for group photos. It looked exactly like the sophisticated, elegant, cohesive celebration Madison had envisioned. Everyone fit perfectly into her aesthetic. Everyone belonged to her world of privilege and status, and carefully curated social connections. And nowhere in any of the photos was there any evidence that the groom had a sister who had helped raise him, who had been his closest confidant for 23 years, who loved him enough to drive to Tempe every weekend when he was struggling in college. I had been erased from Ethan's wedding day as completely as if I had never existed. 2 days after the wedding, Mom called me. "How are you doing, honey?" she asked. her voice careful in the way it always was when she was trying to navigate family conflict without taking sides. I am fine. I saw some photos from the wedding online. It looked beautiful. It did look beautiful. Natalie, I want you to know that your father and I were uncomfortable with you not being there. Were you uncomfortable enough to say something about it? Mom was quiet for a moment. We mentioned to Ethan that we thought you should be included. And what did he say? He said that Madison had very specific ideas about the guest list, and that you would understand. Did you tell him that I did not understand? We told him that family was important, but you went to the wedding anyway. He is our son, Natalie. We could not miss his wedding. Even though he excluded your daughter from his wedding? We hoped that maybe we could help smooth things over between you and Madison. And did you? Did you smooth things over? Madison was very busy with the wedding. We did not have much chance to talk. So you attended a wedding where your daughter was deliberately excluded, and you did not even manage to address the situation with the person who excluded her. Natalie, please do not be angry with us for going to Ethan's wedding. I am not angry that you went to Ethan's wedding. I am disappointed that you went without making it clear that excluding me was unacceptable. What were we supposed to do? Boycott our son's wedding? You were supposed to tell him that family sticks together, and that you would not celebrate his marriage to someone who treats his sister like she does not matter. We could not do that. Why not? Because it would have created more problems. For who? For everyone. For Ethan? For Madison? For the family? What about the problems it created for me? We hoped that after the wedding, things could go back to normal. Mom, things will never go back to normal. Ethan has made it clear that Madison's preferences matter more to him than my place in his life. People say things they do not mean when they are stressed about weddings. Do they? Because Ethan did not just say something he did not mean. He made a deliberate choice to exclude me from the most important day of his life. Maybe after some time passes, you two can work things out. Work what out? He has shown me exactly where I stand in his priorities. There is nothing to work out. He is still your brother. Is he? Because brothers do not typically exclude their sisters from their weddings to make their fiancés more comfortable. Natalie, I understand that you are hurt, but families go through difficult periods. This does not have to be permanent. This is not a difficult period, Mom. This is who Ethan has chosen to become. After we hung up, I realized that my parents' reaction was almost as painful as Ethan's original decision. They had attended his wedding, celebrated his marriage, and participated in an event that deliberately excluded their daughter because they were more concerned about avoiding conflict than about standing up for what was right. A week after the wedding, Ethan texted me, "Hey, Madison and I are back from our honeymoon. Want to get coffee and catch up?" I stared at the message for a long time before responding. Catch up on what? Just life stuff. How you are doing, how work is going. Ethan, you excluded me from your wedding. I do not think we are at the catching up over coffee stage of our relationship anymore. Come on, Nat. It is just coffee. It is not just coffee. It is you pretending that nothing has changed when everything has changed. Nothing has to change between us. Everything already has changed between us. Why are you being so dramatic about this? I am being dramatic by acknowledging that my brother chose his wife's social preferences over his sister's inclusion in his life. I did not choose Madison over you. Yes, you did. That is exactly what you did. Can we please just meet for coffee and talk about this in person? What is there to talk about? You made your position clear. Madison's comfort is more important than my feelings. That is not what I said. That is exactly what you said. Natalie, I miss you. You miss me now, but you did not miss me enough to include me in your wedding. The wedding was just one day. The wedding was the day you chose to start your family. And you decided I was not important enough to witness that moment. You are important to me, but not important enough. Our text conversation continued for another hour, with Ethan insisting that excluding me from his wedding did not mean I was not important to him, and me trying to explain that his actions contradicted his words. Eventually, I stopped responding because I realized we were having the same conversation we had had in his apartment 3 weeks earlier, except now he was married to the woman who had orchestrated my exclusion. 3 months later, Ethan called me on my birthday. Happy birthday, Nat. Thank you. Are you doing anything special to celebrate? I am having dinner with some friends from work. That sounds nice. I was thinking Madison and I could take you out this weekend. Make up for missing the actual day. Make up for missing the actual day? You know what I mean. We could go somewhere nice. Celebrate properly. Ethan, you did not miss my birthday because you were busy. You missed my birthday because we do not have the kind of relationship anymore where you celebrate my birthday. That is not true, is it not? When was the last time we celebrated each other's birthdays? We have always celebrated each other's birthdays. We used to celebrate each other's birthdays before Madison decided that I do not fit into your life. Madison has nothing to do with me wanting to celebrate your birthday. Does she not? Did you ask Madison if she wanted to take me out for my birthday? Or did you decide that on your own? I mentioned it to her, and she thought it was a nice idea. Yes. Ethan, do you understand how sad it is that you had to get permission from your wife to celebrate your sister's birthday? I did not get permission. I mentioned it to her because I wanted to make sure she was free that weekend. And if she had not been free, then we would have picked a different weekend. And if she had not thought it was a nice idea, Ethan was quiet. Would you still be calling me right now if Madison had decided that celebrating my birthday was not something she was comfortable with? Madison would not decide that. How do you know? Because she is not controlling. Ethan, she controlled who could attend your wedding. How is that not controlling? She had input into our wedding planning. That is normal. Input is normal. Vetoing your sister is not normal. She did not veto you. What would you call it? She expressed concerns about the guest list, and we made adjustments. You made adjustments that excluded your sister. We made adjustments that kept the wedding intimate. For the 50th time, Ethan, intimate weddings do not typically exclude immediate family members. You are not just an immediate family member. You are also someone who has made it clear that you do not approve of Madison. When have I made that clear? You have never said you like her. Have you ever asked me if I like her? I should not have to ask. You should volunteer that information. Why should I volunteer information about liking someone who has treated me like an inconvenience since the day I met her? Madison has not treated you like an inconvenience. Has she not? She has excluded me from every significant event in your relationship, made no effort to get to know me, and ultimately decided I was not worthy of attending your wedding. She was trying to avoid conflict. She was trying to avoid acknowledging that you have a family that does not revolve around her preferences. Natalie, I really want us to work this out. There is nothing to work out, Ethan. You have made your priorities clear. My priority is having both of you in my life. Then you should have thought about that before you chose Madison's guest list preferences over your sister's inclusion. I thought you would understand. Understand what? That the wedding was important to Madison, and that sometimes you have to make compromises for the people you love. You did not make compromises, Ethan. You made sacrifices. You sacrificed your relationship with me to give Madison the wedding she wanted. I did not sacrifice our relationship. Did you not? Because we have not had a real conversation in 3 months. I was not at your wedding, and now you are calling me on my birthday like we are distant relatives checking in with each other. We do not have to be distant relatives. What do we have to be? We have to be brother and sister who love each other even when we disagree about things. Do we love each other, Ethan? Of course we love each other. Because love is not just a feeling. Love is action. And your actions have shown me that you love Madison's approval more than you love my place in your life. That is not true. Is it not? When have you chosen my feelings over Madison's preferences? It is not about choosing. It is exactly about choosing. And you keep choosing her. I choose what is best for my marriage. And I am not what is best for your marriage. You could be, if you tried to have a relationship with Madison. I tried to have a relationship with Madison for 18 months. She was not interested. Maybe you could try again. Why should I try again? She made it clear at your wedding that she does not consider me family. She does consider you family. Does she? Because family gets invited to weddings. Natalie, please. I miss having you in my life. You chose not to have me in your life. I chose to marry Madison. And part of marrying Madison was excluding me from your life. That was not part of marrying Madison. Was it not? Because you started distancing yourself from me the day you started dating her, and you completed that distance by excluding me from your wedding. I have not excluded you from my life. Have you not? When was the last time we had dinner together? It has been a while. When was the last time we talked on the phone for longer than 10 minutes? I do not know. When was the last time you asked for my advice about something important? I do not know. When was the last time you treated me like your sister instead of like an obligation you have to manage around your wife's preferences? Ethan was quiet for a long time. I do not know, he said finally. That is the problem, Ethan. You have spent so much time trying to be the husband Madison wants that you have forgotten how to be the brother I need. I can be both. Can you? Because so far, You have not managed to be both. What do you want from me? I wanted you to include me in your wedding. I wanted you to stand up for our relationship when Madison decided I was not worthy of attending. I wanted you to choose your sister over your fiancé's social anxieties. And now? Now, I want you to understand that some choices cannot be undone. You chose Madison's vision of your wedding over my place in your life. That choice has consequences. What consequences? The consequence is that I understand now where I stand in your priorities, and I am building a life that does not depend on you, including me in yours. What does that mean? It means I am not going to keep trying to maintain a relationship with someone who has made it clear that I am not a priority. You are a priority. I am a priority when it is convenient and when it does not conflict with what Madison wants. That is not true. Prove it. How? Tell Madison that you want me at your next family gathering. Not ask her if it is okay, not check if she is comfortable with it. Tell her that I am your sister and I will be included. Natalie, that is not fair. What is not fair about expecting your brother to include you in family events? It is not fair to ask me to create conflict in my marriage. I am not asking you to create conflict. I am asking you to include your sister. But if Madison is not comfortable with that, then you have a wife who is not comfortable with your sister being part of your family. And that is a problem you need to address with her, not a problem you solve by excluding me. I cannot force Madison to be comfortable with you. I am not asking you to force Madison to be comfortable with me. I am asking you to include me regardless of whether she is comfortable. That would cause problems in my marriage. And excluding me causes problems in our relationship. But apparently, problems in your marriage matter more to you than problems in our relationship. That is not what I said. That is exactly what you said. Natalie, please do not make me choose between you and Madison. I am not making you choose. You already chose. At your wedding, when you decided that her preferences were more important than my inclusion. I want both of you in my life. Then you need to figure out how to have both of us in your life without asking me to accept being treated like I do not matter. You do matter. Then prove it. Include me in your life the way you include Madison in your life. Prioritize my feelings the way you prioritize her feelings. Stand up for our relationship the way you stand up for your marriage. I do not know how to do that. Figure it out. Or accept that choosing Madison's comfort over my inclusion has consequences for our relationship. What kind of consequences? The consequence is that I am done trying to maintain a relationship with someone who has shown me that I am not important enough to include in the most significant moments of his life. Natalie, please do not give up on us. I am not giving up on us, Ethan. I am accepting the reality of what us has become. What has us become? Us has become you calling me on my birthday because you feel obligated to maintain some connection with your sister, and me wondering if you asked your wife for permission before making that call. I did not ask for permission, but you mentioned it to her to make sure she was comfortable with it. That is just being considerate. Of her, but not of me. I am being considerate of you by calling. You are being considerate of me by doing the minimum required to maintain the appearance of a relationship. That is not what this is. What is this? This is me trying to keep you in my life. This is you trying to manage your guilt about excluding me from your life. I did not exclude you from my life. You excluded me from your wedding, the day you started your new life. The wedding was one day. The wedding was the day that mattered most. And you decided I was not important enough to be there. You are important enough, but not as important as Madison's preferences. Natalie, I love you. I love you too, Ethan. But love is not enough anymore. What do you mean? I mean that loving someone who consistently chooses other people's feelings over yours is exhausting, and I am tired of being exhausted by our relationship. What are you saying? I am saying that I need space from this relationship. I need time to build a life that does not revolve around waiting for my brother to remember that I exist. You do not have to wait for me to remember that you exist. Do I not? Because that is what our relationship has become. Me waiting for you to remember that you have a sister, and you remembering when it is convenient or when you feel guilty. That is not true. When was the last time you called me just because you wanted to talk to me? I do not know. When was the last time you included me in something because you wanted me there, not because you felt obligated to include me? I do not know. That is the problem. Our relationship has become an obligation for you instead of a choice. It is not an obligation. Is it not? Because it feels like you call me when you think you should, not when you want to. I wanted to call you on your birthday. Did you? Or did you call me on my birthday because you knew it would look bad if you did not? I called because I care about you. You called because caring about me is easier than including me. Natalie, what do you want from me? I want you to want me in your life, not feel obligated to have me in your life, not manage your guilt about excluding me. I want you to choose me because you value our relationship, not because you feel like you should. I do value our relationship. Then show me. Include me in your life the way you include the people you actually want to spend time with. How do I do that? Start by acknowledging that excluding me from your wedding was wrong. I have acknowledged that. Have you? Because every time we talk about it, you defend the decision by explaining Madison's preferences. I am not defending the decision. You are not apologizing for it either. I am sorry that you were hurt. That is not the same as being sorry for hurting me. What is the difference? Being sorry that I was hurt suggests that my hurt feelings are the problem. Being sorry for hurting me acknowledges that your actions were the problem. I am sorry for hurting you. Are you? Because you have not changed any of the behaviors that hurt me. What behaviors? Prioritizing Madison's comfort over my inclusion. Asking her permission before including me in your life. Treating our relationship like something you have to manage around your marriage. I do not ask Madison for permission. You mentioned wanting to celebrate my birthday to make sure she was comfortable with it. That is just being considerate of your spouse. It is just prioritizing your spouse's comfort over your sister's inclusion. Those are not mutually exclusive. They have been mutually exclusive in every situation we have encountered. Natalie, I do not know what you want me to do. I want you to decide whether you want a relationship with me or not. And if you do want a relationship with me, I want you to prioritize that relationship the way you prioritize your relationship with Madison. What does that look like? It looks like including me in family events without checking with Madison first. It looks like standing up for me when she expresses discomfort with my presence. It looks like choosing our relationship over her preferences when those things conflict. And if I cannot do that, then we do not have a relationship. We have a polite connection that you maintain out of obligation. I do not want a polite connection. Then stop treating me like someone you are obligated to include, and start treating me like someone you choose to include. How do I do that? You figure it out, Ethan, because I am done trying to maintain a relationship with someone who treats me like a burden instead of a blessing. You are not a burden. Then stop acting like including me in your life is something you have to negotiate with your wife. I will try. Do not try. Do. Or accept that our relationship is not important enough to you to prioritize. Our relationship is important to me. Then prove it. 6 months later, Ethan invited me to Madison's birthday party. He sent me a text with the details and added, "Madison is really excited for you to be there." I knew Madison was not excited for me to be there, but I also knew that Ethan was trying, in his own way, to include me in his life. I went to the party, held at their apartment, filled with Madison's work friends and college roommates. I made polite conversation, brought a thoughtful gift, and left after an appropriate amount of time. Madison was polite to me throughout the evening, but I could tell that my presence made her uncomfortable. She kept glancing at Ethan whenever I joined a conversation, as if checking to see if he was managing the situation adequately. After the party, Ethan texted me, "Thanks for coming tonight. It meant a lot to have you there." I texted back, "It meant a lot to be included." It was not the relationship we used to have. It was not the closeness we had shared before Madison entered our lives. But it was something. It was Ethan acknowledging that I deserved to be included, even when that inclusion was uncomfortable for his wife. A year later, when Madison got pregnant, Ethan called to tell me the news himself instead of letting me find out through social media. "We are having a baby," he said, his voice full of excitement. "Congratulations. How are you feeling?" "Terrified and thrilled. You know, the usual." "That sounds about right. Nat, I want you to be involved in this baby's life. I want you to be the kind of aunt who is really present, really part of the family. I would like that too." "Good, because I have been thinking a lot about family lately, about what it means, and how to do it right. And what have you concluded?" "I have concluded that I made mistakes when I got married. I prioritized the wrong things. I hurt people I love because I was trying to make everyone happy instead of doing what was right." "What was right?" "Including you. Standing up for our relationship. Not letting anyone, even someone I love, make me choose between my wife and my sister. Ethan, you do not have to choose between your wife and your sister. I know that now, but I did not know that then. I thought marriage meant putting your spouse's feelings above everyone else's feelings. And now? Now I think marriage means building a life together that includes the people you both love, even when that is complicated. Even when Madison is not comfortable with me being around. Even then. Because family is not about comfort. Family is about commitment. And you are committed to our relationship? I am committed to being the brother you deserve, even when that is difficult for other people to accept. It was not an apology for excluding me from his wedding. It was not acknowledgement that Madison's preferences had been wrong. But it was recognition that our relationship mattered, that I deserved to be included in his life, that being his sister meant something more than being someone he called on holidays. When Ethan's daughter was born, I was one of the first people he called. When she was baptized, I was invited without hesitation. When she took her first steps, Ethan sent me a video immediately. Madison and I will never be close. She tolerates my presence because Ethan has made it clear that excluding me is not an option anymore. I accept her place in his life because I understand that loving someone means accepting the people they choose to love, even when you do not understand their choices. But I learned something important from being excluded from Ethan's wedding, that family is not automatic, that relationships require choice and effort and prioritization, that love is not just a feeling, but a series of actions that demonstrate value and commitment. Ethan chose Madison's comfort over my inclusion on his wedding day. That choice taught me that I needed to stop waiting for other people to choose me and start choosing myself. I built a life filled with people who celebrate my presence instead of tolerating it. I found family among friends who value my contributions and appreciate my loyalty. I learned that belonging is not about blood relations, but about mutual respect and genuine care. And when Ethan finally learned to choose our relationship over Madison's discomfort, when he started including me because he wanted me there rather than because he felt obligated to include me, our relationship became stronger than it had ever been. Not because we went back to the way things were before Madison, but because we built something new. Something based on choice rather than obligation, on commitment rather than convenience. Sometimes the most painful experiences teach us the most valuable lessons. Ethan's wedding taught me that I deserve to be chosen, not just tolerated. That taught me to value my own presence enough to walk away from people who do not value it. And ultimately, that knowledge made room for relationships built on genuine appreciation rather than familial obligation, including, eventually, a renewed relationship with my brother, based on his choice to include me rather than his duty to tolerate me. The difference between being chosen and being tolerated is the difference between feeling valued and feeling burdensome, and everyone deserves to feel chosen by the people they love.